Hello, everybody. My name is Master Chen.
I'm Xanify.
And you are listening to or watching Mental Overflow. Hey, I did that right this time.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the third episode of Mental Overflow. This podcast is focused primarily on social engineering and automation and how to do such tasks. Mm-hmm. So we are here at the Sin Shop in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's Henderson specifically, but we still call ourselves the Las Vegas Valley Hackerspace. It is 1075 American Pacific Drive, Suite C in Henderson, Nevada. For information on us, we don't have a Mental Overflow website, but we do have a Mental Overflow Twitter. Of course, you can get to us at Mental Overflow. We are a part of Chenbox Development. That is our company. Chenbox really kind of just means anything that we do in a box. Like it's kind of just a one-stop shop of everything that we do that pertains to hacking and production. Yeah, that's how I came up with the name. So yeah, Mental Overflow is a part of Chenbox, but this show is Mental Overflow. It's not a Chenbox. It's not the Chenbox podcast. Mm-hmm. All right, now that explanation's out of the way, how are you doing, dude? It's been a month.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm doing fine, just catching up from all the exhausting holidays. And years prior, I'd blame it on food. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I was in those food comas. But it wasn't even that this year. It was like literally just nonstop every weekend. Work.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And don't get me wrong, I love the holidays. The last time that we recorded was the last Lockpick night here, which was a month ago. Yeah. Now, we're supposed to be recording weekly. Yeah. But a whole month has gone by without us recording.
It's a rough life.
But you know what, though? I love the holidays. I love the holiday season. But at the same time, I miss routine, kind of. And I'm not trying to be monotonous, but I miss a routine and a flow and a normal thing. And when you have company parties or family get-togethers and you have to reschedule and all these crazy things. Yeah. It's just, it gets to you a little bit.
Yeah, and I think you were going to try last week, but I became sick, and then you
were sick, and I completely forgot because, again, it was another random family, hey, let's get together, which, again, I completely appreciate. Yeah. But it wears on you a little bit. Yeah. So anyway, needless to say, I am glad that we are back here. I hope you are too. So let's kind of get down to it. Mm-hmm. Now today, let's do a recap really quick. So last episode, we talked about some of the biggest obstacles when it comes to social engineering, which is rejection. Mm-hmm. When you get rejected, because it will happen, and when I say rejected, I mean maybe you asked for a certain type of credential and somebody said, I don't know about that, let me talk to my boss, or no, flat out no. Last episode, we were concentrating on how to get past that no, or how to get past that rejection. So I think that was a really good episode, and I'd like to kind of continue on that. We don't have a lot of exercises today to do, but I might ask you, can you come up with an example? Yeah. So today, I want to talk about the difference between open-ended and close-ended questions. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, of course, this is still what I consider to be a sales technique. Yeah. Remember, my background is in psychology, martial arts, sales, and, of course, hacking. But the sales aspect is very powerful when it comes to social engineering because, of course, when you're selling, you're trying to persuade. Yeah. You're trying to persuade somebody to buy something or subscribe to something, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think sales is necessarily a bad thing all the time. Of course, when it comes to pushy salesmen, that'll piss you off. Yeah. But if somebody's trying to sell your product that you actually need, right, I think it could be a very good and positive thing. So I like to pull a lot of examples from sales. Yeah. Just because I think it's a really powerful subject. I think it really is. So today, again, we're talking about open-ended and close-ended questions, what they are, and the difference. Okay? Mm-hmm. So let's start with close-ended questions first because it's really simple. Yeah. Okay? Close-ended questions are any type of question that could be answered with a simple affirmative or negative, right? So a simple yes or no. Yeah. Are you hungry?
Yeah. Yes. I was going to use, do you want pizza?
Yes. Are you hungry? Yeah. Do you want pizza? So a lot of those, if you think about it, anything that you can ask a magic 8-ball.
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly it.
Exactly. So if you think, that's the simplistic part of it, is anything that you could ask a magic 8-ball is pretty much a closed question. Yeah. Does she like me? Yes or no? Or most likely, or I'll have to think about it. But it's still, for the most part, a binary yes or no, on or off. Okay, that's what a closed question is. Closed-ended question is. Okay. Now the open-ended question is something that requires a little bit more explanation. Okay, so an open-ended question is like, how are you doing today, right? Yeah, okay, that can maybe be, well, I'm good.
You could just say, yeah, I'm good. But in a lot of cases, you're going to respond with something like, oh, I'm good, I did this, or I did that. And then they're going to turn it back over to you saying, how are you? And then it keeps convo going instead of just a hard no and you walking away.
Exactly. So, yeah, with open-ended questions, it's not necessarily a how, et cetera, et cetera. It's, what are your plans for the day? Anything that requires more than just a binary
just
response.
That little bit of detail, because any detail you get from any conversation, you could pivot off of.
Absolutely. And so that's what an open-ended question is anything that requires more of an explanation than a simple one-word answer, right? So with open-ended question also, and Zenify, you just mentioned it, you touched upon it, is it also requires the other person, the party across the table, quite literally, to help explain more of what their answer is. So maybe they can start with a simple, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
But then in order to continue the conversation and in order to not be awkward, they would have to continue with that explanation, continue with further information, giving you that, a further explanation.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm,
So then, do you have any examples from recent times? Because for some reason, my mental track right now is back from my sysadmin days, and I would always try and use these types of questions to figure out the problems in an IT environment. Because I can't just go up and go, I can't say anything that would cause cutoff with the user. I need to figure out how the problem occurred to fix it. So when we're talking about these things, you're coming from a sales perspective, I'm coming from a tech perspective of when I'm trying to diagnose a problem, I can't give them closed-ended questions because I'm never going to solve the problem at that. Right.
Okay, let's use an example that you just put forth.
Yeah.
You asked me, do you have an example?
Yeah.
I could easily answer. See, that was a closed-ended question, right?
Okay.
So that was a simple yes or no.
Yeah.
Yes, I have an example, or no, I don't. Right as you started talking about that, I was already thinking about turning that into an open-ended question. So I would say, could you think of a time where you used something like this?
Okay.
And so they would have to think about that time. Now, yes, they could answer yes or no, but then they would say, well, yeah, I do remember a time when, and then here comes the explanation.
Yeah.
Right, so right there, in what you were talking about, we turned it from a closed-ended to an open-ended question.
Yeah.
So there you go, to answer your question.
Oh. In most recent time, when did you use it? Just now.
Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Now, not everything needs to be an open-ended question, okay? Open-ended questions are great for siphoning off information, learning more about your target, your subject, your victim, however you want to describe it. The mark, your prospect. These are all terms that are describing the same person depending on who you are. Are you a social engineer? Are you a salesperson? Are you a con man? But we can talk about that terminology later.
Yeah.
The point is, there's a time and place for open-ended and closed-ended questions.
Yeah.
Okay? So, for instance, we really kind of focused on open-ended questions.
Yeah.
But there's also closed-ended questions that I could use to lead you to an answer that I want you to give.
Yeah.
Okay, so for instance, and I learned this from a salesperson called, his name is Tom Hopkins.
Okay.
I haven't really studied his work for the last few years, but I remember that when I was studying his work, he was famous for selling a house every day for 365 days. I think I might have mentioned that last episode, I think.
It's been a month.
Right, it's been a month. But he sold a house every day for a year. That's 365 homes. Now, of course, this was before the 2007 crash.
Yeah.
So,
was it 2007 or 2008?
Well, I would argue that the crash started in 2007, full effect in 2008. But that's just me studying the market.
Yeah.
But he had a point of using closed-ended questions to lead the person or his prospect to the answer that he wanted them to come across. So, for instance, he would use, isn't it, couldn't it, wouldn't it, shouldn't it? Those types of questions, right? So, the sky is blue, isn't it? Well, you kind of be an idiot to argue with that.
Yeah.
So it forces the yes.
Okay.
So closed-ended questions, when done properly, can force a certain reaction out of your target. And that's something that you can focus on.
I didn't really think of it from that perspective. I was thinking more of if you're conducting like a social engineer campaign over the phone, there comes a point with all of your open-ended questions where you need to inject a closed-ended question to get off the phone, because it could easily turn on you. The more questions you're asking, the more you're actually revealing about yourself, and they could pick up on that and shut down cold.
Absolutely. You're right. And wouldn't it be easy? Here we go. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be easy to end that conversation with a closed-ended question?
Yeah.
So there you go. The way we frame the question forces a certain answer. Maybe you want them to say no. Maybe you want them to say yes.
Yeah.
But the point is, those closed-ended questions are good for binary responses. Now, of course, that takes practice, and I promise you we're not going to do any exercises today, but that does take practice. So you have open-ended questions, you have closed-ended questions. Now, a lot of the times you're going to want to formulate these questions based off of what you're listening to from the person. So going back to that example of open-ended questions, how we turned your closed-ended question into an open-ended question, that required my listening to you. Okay, so you kind of have to do this on the fly, but it also takes practice. So maybe as you're listening to me or I'm listening to you, you're already thinking now, or maybe you're going to start to train your mind to think in that aspect.
Yeah.
Open-ended versus closed-ended question. So, and really that's all I wanted to focus on today.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions or any examples? Or I know you're not a red teamer, but I think do you hang out with your red teamers or kind of
sometimes
converse with them a little bit?
Yeah, that we do talk.
Okay, so what do you talk about?
Well, mainly it's just internal company stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, I used those questions. See, right there. Do you talk to your red teamers? Yes. Okay. What do you talk about?
Yeah.
So that close-ended, open-ended.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to work on that interchangeably and again trying to get this conversation.
There's definitely I mean, and I guess it could be in a way. I mean, I'm literally going to use our show title here. It's almost like a mental overflow of if you're doing open close, open close, open close, you're going to overload them with yes, no, but then you're also going to overload them with injecting detail in between all of those, and I think you could eventually manipulate them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, we are kind of, per episode, of course, we're kind of tackling what people find hard maybe in their social engineering experience, or maybe something that they want to work on, right? So again, to recap, the first actual episode, aside from our introduction, which was last time, we focused on getting past no, right?
Yeah.
And so I shot you those questions. You turned it from a simple no or a simple rejection to, okay, maybe not a simple flat out no, but something further, right? Now, as we move to open-ended and closed-ended questions, we're changing the dynamic a little bit. So now, instead of an interrogation, I guess you can say, it's more of like a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? So I can use these open-ended and closed-ended questions to guide the conversation. I can use it to close off the conversation. I can use it to end it abruptly or keep it going. It really depends on what I want to do or what my goal or my target is. You know, like if we're at a bar and I just want to keep you talking and the truth serum's running, you know, then yeah, I'll ask as many open-ended questions as possible. If maybe, think about this, if maybe somebody is annoying you and bothering you while you're trying to work, you start to guide the conversation to close-ended questions.
Yeah.
Hey man, have you finished that report? Yes? No? Oh, okay, then you might want to go finish that. You know what I mean?
I'm thinking of very specific. This is more so not the questions aspect, but at work, I don't know if this started. It definitely didn't start at my work, but when a coworker would come over and start trying to chat you up, and you were trying to get work done, it may have even been you that told me this. You would stand up and you would continue the conversation a little bit more excited than before, so they're heavily engaged. But you walk them back over to their desk, and then you hit them with the closed-ended question, and then once you walk away, they're already back at their desk, and they're like, how the fuck did I get back here? But now that they're back there, they got to get back to work.
Right.
And they can't get up again, because then that's just going to show that they're not working.
A little bit of a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know where I picked that up from. I think I heard about it at my work.
Yeah, I don't think that was me, but that's a great tactic.
Yeah.
So
it's just getting up and just, it's like, it was probably Reddit. Yeah, I fucking read everything there.
Well, and like, yeah, we can be abrupt assholes about it, and like, you know, as soon as they start popping off at the mouth, I could just put on my headphones.
Yeah.
And like start typing.
I try and...
Now the thing though is that that's kind of rude.
Yeah.
And it also burns bridges.
Yeah.
Because people, especially your coworkers, are going to remember that action. Mm-hmm. And when they remember that action, maybe you might need a favor or some sort of help or assistance along the way further down the line.
And you never, I feel you never ever want to burn those type of bridges, even if they're little minuscule, you know, interactions with certain coworkers every day. You never know where they're going to be in the future and where you want to be in the future. And if you burn them once, you're going to miss out on a lottery opportunity, possibly.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen that, both personally and just standing back, third party observation. I've seen that. I've seen it where, like, you know, these two parties seem to be cool with each other. Maybe a couple of months down the line, they're not so cool. And I don't know who burned the bridge first. Yeah. But something along the line maybe rubbed the other person the wrong way. You know, and I feel like these questions, getting back to the topic, open and close-ended questions, are a way to mitigate the burning of bridges.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because I mean, almost any questions that you're going to be asking in this scenario, it's not going to come off as extremely rude, and you're not really going to be able to burn a bridge unless you just straight up say, "Get the fuck out of my face," something along those lines. So I feel, you know, open and close-ended questions using both at the same time. You're actually conversing with somebody, but you're also have your own goal in mind. Right.
So, again, that is the topic today. Zenify, do you have anything else to add to this?
No, I mean, there was times where I was trying to think of ways to automate this specific scenario, but I don't know. I think we had examples in the last couple where we thought of ways that we could, but I don't have any off the tip of my tongue that we could.
Okay, so actually, since we're talking a little bit about the automation now, you and I both use Tasker, you know, which is on Android. It's an automation platform.
I know this.
Yeah, you know. So there's an instance where I had somebody who was texting, and they're not annoying by any means, or you know, I just wanted to see if I could do it. Yeah. Okay. So they would text me throughout the day, whatever. But a lot of their questions were simply close-ended questions. Yeah. Like it only needed a couple of responses from me, right? So I programmed pretty much an 8-ball type of responder. Yeah. And so what it would do is it would read the text message. And so, for instance, if it started with do or are, like, are you going to lunch today? Yeah. Yes or no? Do I look fat in this dress? Yeah. Again, that's just an example, right? Yeah. So do, are, and there were a couple of maybe other starters of a question where my Tasker profile would then say, this is most likely a close-ended question type of response, right? So then it would randomly pick from my 8-ball responses, you know, yeah, maybe later, most likely, ask me again in an hour, right? Yeah, like crazy things like that. And it would go for a while. Now, the person, I will say, no, this is really dumb AI. It's not even AI. It's just a canned response. Yeah. But I think it took like 3 days, like 48 to 72 hours before they realized, hey, these are canned responses, right? And I said, hey, look, I didn't mean to ignore you. I wanted to see if I could do it. Yeah. But again, the point being,
I didn't mean to ignore you. I just wanted to see if I could do it. And if you never caught on, fantastic.
No. But this person knows who I am. They know what I work with. They know that, hey, this probably could have been a DEF CON talk later, right? Yeah. Which it hasn't been, but hey, whatever. But the point being, you know, we talk about social engineering. We talk about automation, and here they kind of come together. Yeah. I automated the closed-ended question responses, and it was pretty cool. I wish it kind of went longer than 3 days, just for experiment's sake. Yeah. But that's an example of using.
I'm sure you could rekindle it. Go meet anybody at a bar and see how I could.
Right? Yeah. You know, and you know, I still have that Tasker profile if you want to take a look at it.
I should.
Yeah, I'll let you see that, or you know. Yeah. So again, that's something where closed-ended questions were powerful. Yeah. It allowed me to maybe not pay attention to the text message conversation that was going on without me. And of course, open-ended question, again, to recap, we're using that to pull more of an explanation out of somebody, out of the mark, out of the target. Again, these are all just words kind of meaning the same thing: prospect, victim, target. You know. So those are your two strategies when it comes to conducting a conversation that benefits you or your goal, your task, your your end result. Mm-hmm. So, have I missed anything in the recap though? Like, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So if you want to practice this at home, if you want to work on your open-ended or closed-ended questions, remember a good example of closed-ended questions that begs the yes response. Isn't it? Couldn't it? Wouldn't it? Shouldn't it? Again, that's not my work. That's the work of another. You can look up Tom Hopkins. It was his work, to my knowledge. But it's very powerful, and I've definitely used that in my own experience. And remember, open-ended questions requires more of a response. So practice that. Go to your family members and practice having these types of conversations. Lead them to an answer. That's going to be a goal. That could be your goal. Yeah. Lead them to an answer that you've already predetermined in your head. And if you can do that on more than one occasion, you keep practicing, and you would have mastered this open-ended and closed-ended question concept. Mm-hmm. Okay? So that's all I have for tonight. Zenify, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So again, we are doing our best to record every Monday night.
I know in the future it's going to get more consistent. It's going to inevitably. I already know
it is. It has to.
What's happening in the future to make it more consistent. It's just these next couple, we just got to see.
But you know what? It's okay, because as we are a new show, as we are a young show, it's good to iron out these things before we get...
But if it does take another month to do the next one, maybe we should have a lot more material to throw at them. I don't know.
Perhaps. We'll figure that out as we go along. Yeah. Excuse me. So remember, you guys, Mental Overflow is a production of... Excuse me. Jeez. Great drink. Not a sponsor, but a great drink.
Yeah.
So Mental Overflow is produced by Chenbox Development. If you would like to be a sponsor, please get at us. Remember, we are Mental Overflow. I am personally Chenbox, CHENB0X on Twitter.
And I'm Zenify_EXE.
Right, and we will have more contact points coming in the near future. But if you like what we do, if you like what we were talking about, please hit like or subscribe. And if you're listening through whatever podcast app you're using, give us a review, hit like there, because that does actually help us in our ratings. Yeah. So maybe we could slowly creep up to the top of some sort of cool list.
Well, I hear the coolest list is on Spotify. But also I hear it's incredibly hard to become a podcast on Spotify.
Challenge accepted.
But man, if we get up there, I hear that's where like the 1% live.
Oh, okay. All right. Challenge accepted, Zenify. All right, so join us again next week. Now, we aren't live. Usually, Zenify would get these episodes up by later this week.
Yeah, within a couple days.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll go live. Yeah. I just don't know when that will be. So these are all in post-production, but I hope you are enjoying the program. And join us again next week, or if you have a subscription bell on YouTube, then we'll notify you when we're ready to talk to you again.